Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the People's House, the capital of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Today is April the 8th, if you weren't aware. April the 8th nationally is an important day. It's called Equal Pay Day. And you may be wondering, what are we talking about, equal pay? Well, we find out that we're here because April the 8th this year, meaning we're almost 100 days into the new year, this marks how far into 2014 it takes for women's salaries to catch up with their male counterparts, doing the same job, with the same work experience, and the same education. Think about it. You remember New Year's Eve and New Year's Day? Well, a woman has to go till today to earn the same amount of money. Let me put it in real terms. I have props. I have 3 quarters and a penny. Now, when my son was little, he thought this was great. He was 3 and he would call it his monies. I have monies, Mommy, I have monies. That's what a woman earns for her job compared to this, what a man earns. 76 cents to the dollar. I will tell you that our son, by the time he was 6, knew that he wanted what he called folding. I want to have money to fold. His father taught him that one. So yes, he wanted folding. We should all get folding commensurate with what we are able to do and what our education is and what our work experience and our productivity is. Certainly not based on our gender. That's what we're talking about today. A woman with the same credentials, qualifications, and experience as her male counterpart should be paid the same. Seems very simple. And in many, many places across the Commonwealth, this is exactly what happens. Not a problem. But sadly, it still is a problem. We're not sure how much in Pennsylvania. We have the statistics that are national statistics. Please know, and let me make it very clear to you, that pay equity is not about the battle of the sexes. It's just about leveling the playing field so that men and women earn the same. I don't want to earn more. I don't want to earn less. However, we have some employers who evidently still have that pre-1950s mentality that women shouldn't earn equal pay for equal work. You can see behind me we have plenty of folks who support pay equity in Pennsylvania. And indeed, some of us wore red today because they talked about wearing red to show that we don't want to be in the red as we are getting till April 8th. Behind me, and by the way, I think I didn't introduce myself. I'm Kathy Watson. I'm a state representative for the 144th District in one of the loveliest places in Pennsylvania, in Bucks County. And I've done that for job for a while, and I'm very proud to be from Bucks County and represent my constituents. I have people here who gave up lots in their schedule, and you'll see them disappear because most are representatives, and what they have to do is get to another committee meeting, they've already signed in late, or get to another rally or whatever it is that's going on in the Capitol today. Let me introduce my colleagues. We have Tom Mert, Pam Delicio, just raise your hand, folks, if you're still here too. Becky Corbin, our caucus chairman, Sandy Major, Donna Oberlander, Maria Donatucci, and then Hal English, Mike Verb, our caucus secretary, and from the governor's office, we have Leslie Gromas Baker and Katie True, women on the governor's staff. I hope have I missed anybody? We have Mary Jo Daly, we have Maury Gingrich, one of our speakers, Tina Dave. Well, I didn't do our speakers because they're going to say something. And Dave Reed is here, did I see? All right, Dan Truitt. Who else did I miss? Dave Reed. Okay, there you go. And Kelly Logan is also here from the we're well represented. Thank you from the governor's office. I could go on and on about the statistics. In fact, I have lots of things that I could do, but I want to turn it over to someone who will be speaking next, who certainly knows a lot about the issue and a lot of things. He's also a gentleman from Bucks County, born and raised, so that makes him very special. And what makes him particularly special today, and we are very blessed to have him want to come and to speak on the issue of equal pay, is that he is our Lieutenant Governor, Lieutenant Governor Jim Cawley. Governor Cawley?
Thank you for that introduction, Kathy, and thank you for your leadership on this important issue. And I want to welcome the members of the House of Representatives who are here, both Republican and Democrat, men and women alike, to recognize the fact that this is indeed an issue that is not partisan. It is an issue that affects and should be of interest to all Pennsylvanians. And I'm very pleased to be joined by the first female chief of staff for a governor in this state, Leslie Grumis-Baker, and our great Secretary for Legislative Affairs, Katie True, herself a former member of the House of Representatives, and indeed all of the administration today, in standing up for this important issue, one of fairness, one of equity. You know, it was 55 years ago that we started down this road of pay equity and fairness and saying that we should not have differences. And I can't help but think that it was 5 years after that that Dr. Martin Luther King stood in front of all of us and challenged us as Americans by saying that he looked forward to a time in this nation when individuals would be judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. And while he didn't say it on that day, I'm sure he believed as well that individuals should be judged by the content of their character and not by their gender. Unfortunately, that is not what is happening today. We all, as Pennsylvanians, need to stand up and say that compensation in this state should be based on a number of different things. It should be based on your educational background. It should be based on your training. It should be based on your experience. It should be based on your ability. But one thing it must not be based on is your gender. Now, the governor and I understand that inherently. And we have looked to employing the most able Pennsylvanians that we can in our ongoing effort to make Pennsylvania an even better place to live and to work and to raise our families and to grow old in. That's why gatherings like this are so vitally important. We must all stand up. We must stand up and say that it is time, finally, after long last, for there to be fairness, for there to be equity in this state. And it is why we are standing here today, to get that message out and to send a very clear message around the state and around our country that we want every man and every woman who is looking for a job in this state to be employed, and we want them to receive a fair wage for a fair day's work. That's why we're here today. That's why we will continue the fight until all Pennsylvanians are compensated equitably. Once again, Representative, thank you so much for your leadership, and I look forward to continuing to work with you on this important issue. Thank you all very much.
Governor, thank you very much. Thank you for being here and for your words. And indeed, though I would like to continue to work with you on the issue, one of us is getting a lot older. And what I would like is that we don't have to work as long on this issue because we've done the rally, sadly, too many times. Hopefully we will pass House Resolution 716. It will become effective. We will study to make sure we know what we would do. I think she left, but one of our members, Marie Donatucci, has legislation. She'd be willing to amend it if we learned something new. Maybe we just need enforcement, but we need to figure this out and make sure everybody's paid equally. Next, we have speaking the House Majority Leader, who was kind enough to take time, probably running in on roller skates and back out again, but that is Mike Turzai to say a few words. Representative Turzai.
Chairman Watson, thank you so much for inviting me to be here today and to follow the Lieutenant Governor. It's really quite an honor, and to all of our members here today, thank you. Equal Pay Day, Tuesday, April 8th, symbolizes how far into 2014 women must work to earn what men had earned in 2013, hence why Equal Pay Day is April 8th. And this year, 2014, marks the 55th anniversary of the Equal Pay Law that has provided a foundation for Pennsylvania women seeking opportunities in the workplace. The goal is fair compensation for all employees without wage discrimination. Back in 1963, when the Equal Pay Act was signed into law by President John Kennedy, the law specifically stated that no employer shall discriminate between employees on the basis of sex. I think that it is important to pass House Resolution number 716 so that we can, in fact, garner the information necessary to make important policy decisions. I do want to say that I also think it's important that all of us, all political leaders, should celebrate those businesses that have decided it is good business to have a diverse workplace. We should applaud those that have gone out of their way to attract women and to give them a robust and fulfilling work experience. Some of the examples from Forbes' list of the 10 best companies for women in 2014 include IBM, which has a Reconnections initiative that tries to bring women who left to have children back to IBM. Marriott, which has an impressive 55% female workforce and 58% female management team. And Ernst & Young, which has a mentorship program where senior level women pursue opportunities on behalf of younger women within the company. And I think all of us, for all of our kids, but particularly we need to make sure that we're not excluding our female students. We need to support initiatives that encourage young girls to enter traditionally male-dominated fields such as science, technology, engineering, and math. These important STEM fields are crucial to our country's future and provide incredible opportunities for women to achieve high earnings. Kathy, I applaud your efforts and thank you for asking me to speak today.
Thank you, Representative Turzai. Next, we have Representative Mario Scavello. He's also chairman of the House Labor and Industry Committee, and he had a really good meeting this morning, and I'll let him tell you why.
Thank you, Chairman Watson. What a pleasure it is to be here this morning, and this has been your issue for so long. You're well known I have the women in my county respect you for what you're attempting to do. This morning, we had a very successful meeting. House Resolution 716, sponsored by Chairman Watson, passed in the committee and is going to the floor for a vote. And that resolution will help us study what's happening in the workplace. I'm going to, personal note, I have two daughters. Both of them have their college degrees. And I'm doing it for them and for every woman here in this Commonwealth, that if you have the same education, the same training, you should be making the same amount of money as your male counterpart. And it is about time. When you start seeing 76 to $1, it doesn't work, folks. It needs to be corrected. I applaud you, Chairman Watson, and all of the members behind me, the Lieutenant Governor, the Majority Leader, and I believe that this is going to happen in the Commonwealth. God bless you all.
And now a colleague, a friend, Representative Tina Davis from Bucks County. We try to have several women in Bucks County. We're working on it. Go, Tina.
I want to thank Madam Chair Kathy Watts on this issue. I do want to say, before I even became a state rep, I reached out to Kathy, and she was more than generous to offer me a lot of mentoring. I'm speaking today because last week I received a letter from an 88-year-old woman who wanted to tell her story because it was Women's History Month. Her story was she was one of the original Rosie the Riveters. If anyone doesn't recognize Rosie the Riveter, they were the women who went to the Boeing and all the airplane groups out in California and Seattle to put the rivets into the airplanes. She told me that she made 50% on the dollar at that time. I'll read a quote she writes. It was difficult adjusting to the men's attitudes towards women at first. They would play tricks on us to discredit us. That only forced us to work smarter and work together. In 1942, the War Labor Board ruled that women must be paid the same job rate as men were paid. Unfortunately, that was never enforced. That was in 1943. Over 70 years later, we are still talking about this issue. At this rate, we will not see pay equality till 2084. Women's earnings have become an increasing portion of total family income. Yet efforts to close the pay equity gap have stalled since the 1960s. Women earn less than men in every state and region of the country. Female workers older than 50 earn 25% less than men in Pennsylvania. What is fair is fair. At one time, we accepted slavery. At one time, we didn't allow women to own homes. At one time, women were not able to vote. This is the time for pay equity, and I want to thank you.
Now, you've heard, I would say, from our public sector, and they've explained their feelings about it. Well, I guess we'll call it our private sector. Private sector, but this is the Pennsylvania Federation of Business and Professional Women's Club. These are the folks out in the front lines who help contribute and give us the statistics and tell us those who indeed are earning equal to their male counterpart and those, sadly, who are not. We have Barbara Schmuter with us. She's the past president of the Pennsylvania Federation of Business and Professional Women's Club. Barbara, we welcome you to the Capitol.
Good morning. Thank you. Even though the Equal Pay Act was passed and signed into law by President John F. Kennedy in 1963, 33 years later, Equal Pay Day was originated by the National Committee on Pay Equity in 1996 as a public awareness event to illustrate the gap between men's and women's wages. It was decided years ago to select a Tuesday in April as Equal Pay Day. Tuesday was selected to represent how far into the work week women must work to earn what men earned the previous week. Because women earn less on average than men, they must work longer for the same amount of pay. Today, more women in the United States are obtaining college degrees and increasing their participation in the labor force. But it is not just about wages. The pay gap also cuts into women's Social Security, pensions, and retirement. The gender pay gap has been attributed to differences in personal and workplace characteristics between women and men, such as education, hours worked, occupation, and etc., as well as direct and indirect discrimination in the labor market, such as gender stereotypes, customer and employer bias. Studies have consistently found unexplained pay differences which potentially include discrimination. enough is enough. Women earn less for several reasons, experts say, including their college majors, occupation, and the number of hours they work. Today, women still tend to enter lower paid fields such as education and social sciences, while men typically major in engineering and computer science. Pay disparities affect women of all ages, races, and education levels, regardless of their family decisions. Women are still largely pigeonholed in pink-collar jobs. In 2011, almost 40% of working women were employed in traditionally female occupations, such as social work, nursing, and teaching, which tend to have lower wages. The Equal Pay Act is receiving a tremendous amount of attention from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and pay equity has been designated as a top priority for the fiscal years 2013 through 2016. However, with all laws, there seems to be lack of clarity in its terms, such as within any establishment and equal work. And that can create many opportunities for open questions and legal discussions on enforcing the law. What can be done about the pay gap? Women could pick higher paying majors such as nursing, computer science, math, science, and engineering, and the employer has the responsibility to ensure that they do not treat men and women differently. We have equal pay laws that have been on the books for a really long time, but we still have unequal pay. I ask you, do we really need new legislation, or do we just need to enforce it? That is why we gather here today. Let us recognize that it's not marching and waving the flags and banners that will make the changes we so desire. We do not need all the ruckus to raise awareness. In our opinion, the way to effect change is to encourage the young woman coming behind us to make lifestyle decisions, educational selections, and career choices that will secure the equity we are all seeking. In the words of the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher, we are all unequal. No one is quite like anyone else. Yet, every human being is equal important. It is individualism which drives the economy. I wish to thank Representative Catherine Watson for arranging this rally and for sponsoring House Resolution 716, which directs the Joint State Government Commission to study the issue of workplace disparity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we could say lots more. We could throw more statistics. We could talk about this is a family issue, not just a woman's issue. But this is the People's House, and there's another rally on another topic that comes after us. I first of all want to thank Lieutenant Governor Cawley, House Republican leader Mike Turzai, Representative Scavello, my good friend Representative Tina Davis, and Barbara Schmuter for being our guest speakers and taking the time. Members that have been in and out, they had to get to other meetings, but they've been highly supportive. We thank you for watching, for listening, for sitting or standing here in the Capitol. And really, I'd like not to do this next year. How about you? Do you think we could get the study done and find out what's going on and make things better? I'm willing if you are. Thank you very much. Have a really good day.